What's going on, everyone? I'm just a typical average American here today to react and learn about what the British do better than the USA. What does that mean? What do these words mean? I don't understand. Okay, I'm being sarcastic here, but to be perfectly honest, it's not all that uncommon as an American child growing up in America that you'd hear stuff like this, that you're taught America, the amazing, the leader, the world leader in so many things, the best at doing stuff. And then as you grow older and become an adult and start looking at the rest of the world, you quickly realize, hey, there's actually a lot of countries around the planet doing things in different, unique, and oftentimes better ways than the United States, including the UK, which brings us to this video today, where we have an American woman who grew up in America and has been living in the UK. And as an adult, these are some of the things that have really stuck out to her that Britain does a lot better than the United States. So I'm really, really curious and open-minded, honestly, to hear about what kind of stuff Britain is just doing better, doing differently than the US. So I'm really interested to hear about what things stuck out to her. So with that being said, let's take a look.
After living in London for 4 years as an American expat, there are certainly things that I feel the British do better than Americans.
Okay. I don't really understand what these words mean. The UK doing stuff better than USA? Okay, I mean...
Make sure you watch till the end of the video when I discuss the one healthy thing that I'm not sure which country does better, and the one thing that I think Americans clearly have taken global ownership of. Keep in mind, these are just my opinions based on my experience living in London, which I know doesn't represent the entire UK. We'll start with driving. New York City, LA, Detroit, all have really great drivers. But the thing I notice about the British is they really excel when it comes to giving way. To me, it's
giving way. Man. Yeah, I mean, the first thing I think about is roundabouts, because apparently roundabouts are pretty common in the UK, in Britain, but they're not common at all in America, nor yield signs are semi-common. So Americans are very, very bad at roundabouts, and I think what she's getting at, giving way. Americans just don't really like to be nice to each other on the road, to be honest. Particularly when you get into big major cities, it is chaos. You gotta be a little aggressive to even get anywhere. It's not pleasant, but this is definitely something that I agree with.
It seems the British are far more likely to stop and let somebody go who's trying to turn against traffic than we are in the US.
Oh, and this is also like Brits are just more likely going to help someone out who's maybe trying to take, I don't know, like a left turn? Or, sorry, in the UK, I guess it'd be a right turn. Turn my brain upside down for a second here. Take a right turn and, like, have to cross through traffic. Brits might let them, help them out. You might help someone out and stop and let them go. And yeah, that kind of goodwill is not so common in American driving. We really just want to get where we want to go. It's about me, darn it, where I need to go. Gotta get to the dentist.
The whole concept of roundabouts instead of stop signs works really well here.
Yeah. A school I went to had one roundabout, and it changed my life forever, learning about roundabouts. So I had to get good at using the roundabout. This wasn't until, after I was 20 years old, finally encountered a roundabout for the first time. And it was a learning experience, but once you get used to the roundabout, and everyone around you does, as funny as that sounds, it's so quick and efficient. So efficient! I wish we had more of them in America, but I know it'd be such a big learning curve for so many Americans that there'd be a bit of chaos at the beginning of that. But roundabouts are awesome, but you so rarely see them in the US.
Come
I don't know if it's just the small roads or general lack of space to begin with, but in comparison to Americans, I find British drivers far less aggressive and much less selfish.
Yeah, exactly the words I would use. Selfish and aggressive. There you go. What did the British do better? Just driving and also being decent people.
Next, I just love afternoon tea. My blog has tons of reviews of the best places in London where I suggest you go.
So I guess going to Britain, there is like a whole culture shock of afternoon tea now exists and is a thing people do. So by default, it's going to be absolutely destroying America in this subject because we don't have anything quite like afternoon tea. Nothing at all. It's actually a pretty cool concept. It's probably very soothing, a chance to kind of chill out, get some quality time alone or with friends over a nice tea. I like the idea of it. I've never experienced it.
Idea of taking a break in the afternoon and enjoying finger sandwiches and pastries and scones to me is just genius.
Yeah. It'd probably be weird for Brits to come to America and be like, if for some reason it was illegal and you couldn't do afternoon tea, and then you had to experience life like us. It'd be like a big hole in your day, I imagine.
Brings us to eating in general. British people have a very keen appreciation for food. However, they don't tend to overindulge nearly as much as stereotypical Americans.
Yeah, and I think it's so easy for Americans to overindulge, not just because of like all the food commercials and availability and cheap snacks, but how big the serving sizes even are. I mean, that's one of my favorite things about being an American, living in America, is the serving sizes, but at the same time, I know it's programmed us all to get used to these enormous serving sizes, and anything less seems like a small amount, where in reality, it's probably just a normal, healthy amount.
In my experience, British people seem to demand food that is very fresh and has little preservatives. Their table manners
Oh, yeah, that's... we're going there. Fresh food? Yeah, that's not a priority to Americans, that things are whole foods, fresh foods. Like, some people are into that, but it's definitely not normal. I'd be like, you weirdo, you like fresh foods? Gosh.
Also blow the table manners of Americans away. Tradition.
Table manners. Even hearing the word table manners and Americans makes me chuckle a bit. There's no such thing as table manners. There's a minimum threshold of like, don't be a disgusting slob, but there's definitely table manners. I feel like there's a whole British table manners that could be a separate video for me to learn about.
Let's face it, even though the royal family has modern princes like William and Harry, when it comes to the old spirit of class, ceremony, and manners, I feel the British do it better.
Yeah, tradition, just history. Like, Britain has such a longer, deeper history. I mean, that extends even into like the architecture and buildings and historical sites and activities and the royalty and so much that relates to tradition and history in Britain that simply does not even exist in America. We haven't been around long enough to have traditions that have a super deep meaning, to be honest.
In terms of moving a literary character into an epic movie, again, I'm going with the British. Think about King Arthur, Sherlock Holmes, James Bond. That's just a few.
James Bond is good. I know this is not one I expected. This is kind of out of nowhere, but true. Turning a literary character into a movie. Yeah. I mean, even like Harry Potter and stuff. Huh. Yeah, I guess this is true. There's some pretty good movies based on British literature. Yeah, I mean, that's true. I've never thought about it.
I'd love it in the comments if you could name other British characters that have really rocked the silver screen too. I have an entire video dedicated to the tipping system here. I'll put the link in the description below. I absolutely love it. Every time I return to America, I'm reminded of how awkward the tipping process is when I received a bill in a restaurant.
Oh, the tipping process? Oh, I'm not exactly sure what she's talking about. I might have to check out that video she linked. I just know that Brits tip like Americans tip. I think a bit less, like not quite 20% all the time. Although Americans are not afraid to tip badly. It very much is a judgment going on of the service. Americans will tip badly if they didn't like how the server performed their serving duties, which is a bit bizarre when you think about it, because they're kind of really depending on that to survive. But I don't know, Americans were just cold, callous judges of the food. It's food. I mean, don't when it comes to our food, there's very little leeway there. Yeah, the tipping. Is it just that we have to like tip right on the receipt, right in front of the waiter or waitress? Where maybe Brits do it in a little more inconspicuous way? I always thought it was awkward in America how you have to tip and the waiter will oftentimes see how much you're tipping, or it's uncomfortable for sure. Yeah.
Like and share this video if you found it valuable. Subscribe to the Sunny News so you don't miss any future videos of. I can't decide on is healthcare between the two countries.
Healthcare.
I know British people love the NHS because it's free, but I just don't have enough experience with the NHS in the time that I've lived here to make a really solid opinion.
Okay. I guess I can't have a very detailed opinion on the healthcare. I'm not super up to date on what British healthcare is like, but I do know American healthcare is a horrible system where if you don't have the correct health insurance plan that you pay for every month, you can not have access to the healthcare you need, which is just disgusting thought and sad. And then you'll have to pay out of pocket for some care, which can send you into spiraling, crippling debt for the rest of your life. It's wild that is a thing in America. So Britain is already doing a lot better in my eye, not having a system like that. But as for the actual care itself, the care when you're in the ER or hospital, doctor's office, in America, the care is very good. Some of the best in the world. You're going to get really, really good care. It's really the paying for it that is the horrific, gaping problem. So I don't know what the actual care is like in Britain. I imagine it's quite good as well. Some of the best in the world. So I don't know. She's just saying she hasn't had to experience that, I guess. So she doesn't know for sure, I suppose.
I do know anytime I have used the NHS, it has taken a very long time. However,
so there can be long wait times, perhaps. Maybe that's a drawback.
Because I've lived in London for 4 years, I haven't been able to keep up with what's been happening to the American healthcare system, and I do know it's changed quite a bit. So much so that the British people that I know who live in America, who have been there for decades, are considering coming back to England because of the NHS and feeling that it is now better than the American healthcare system.
There you go. Well, the healthcare system of paying is definitely terrible for a lot of people. If you're one of the fortunate ones who can just have healthcare through their job or can afford it every month, you're probably going to be fine. Luckily, most people are going to be fine, but it's really sad for the minority of people whose whole lives are kind of ruined based over their healthcare needs and their financial situations. That's so sad that exists in America.
Be sure to leave in the comments your ideas about healthcare systems, especially if you have experience with both. Something I think Americans definitely do better than the British is inventing social media networks. I'm guessing because you're watching this.
Okay. There's one thing Americans do better. We invent good social media platforms like Facebook and Twitter and YouTube and stuff. Okay. All right. But now we're all kind of trapped on these social media together for the rest of our days. So there's the drawback.
YouTube video that you might care a little bit about social media. So think about it. Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, YouTube, and Pinterest were all invented by Americans.
Yeah, that is interesting. I actually haven't ever thought about how Americans invented all the popular social medias. But again, social medias are some of the greatest inventions ever, and probably some of the worst for humanity and what we, the new focus on staring at your phone or computer for hours on end every day, caring about what other people think and are doing in their lives when you could just be out enjoying life yourself. But then you wouldn't be watching this video of me ranting about social media. So there you go. I mean, it's got pros and cons, I guess. Oh, okay. There you have it. There you have it. What do the British do better? Quite a few things, and I didn't hear anything there that I disagreed with, to be honest. I thought that was all very, very reasonable and sounded all very much true. So I enjoyed that. That was by Sunny London, and I'm going to give that a like. Better at, what do we have here? Brits are better at driving, definitely. Afternoon tea is cool and exists. Food, more responsible with food, you could say. Cooler and more traditions, yep. Literary characters, technically true. Tipping is less awkward. Healthcare is better. Yeah, I never thought about most of those things, but I think all that's pretty irrefutable. So okay, I came into this a little skeptical, a little open-minded, and there you have it. I'm convinced there are many things the British do better than the United States. What a shocker. But honestly, I did enjoy hearing about an American's perspective on this traveling to Britain and what stuck out to them. And I have to say I agreed with all her observations. So I enjoyed this quite a bit. Anyway, if you enjoyed this as well, feel free to give this video a like or leave a comment. And if you're interested in more videos like this, me reacting to Britain and British culture, stuff in Britain I've never seen before, feel free to subscribe for more. And until then, thanks for watching, and see you next time.